one of the problems is the state of religion in this town. And I would ask you how much of your portrayal of the capitalist personality would depend upon religion. But in any case, what we see here is that the Reverend Burgess has been disgraced.
Right.
And so whatever the town once looked up to, if it ever looked up to something higher, is very ambiguous now.
I think we would agree that capitalism has to be embedded in a deeper value system. But I would say, especially in this country, that value system is extremely deeply embedded, and it's not washed away simply because your ministry gets disgraced. And so my shorthand version of the American character is that Europeans came here in the whatever century, and they saw vast forests, they saw huge oysters so large they'd never seen them before, they saw flocks of geese so big it took them 45 minutes to take off, and the early settlers would shoot cannon into the flocks just to see if they could redirect them. They were so fascinated by these gigantic flocks. And so two thoughts occurred to these Europeans. One, that God's plans for humanity could be realized here. This could be the final eschatology of the human race. And second, they could get really rich in the process. And so he had intense spiritual and intense material drive. And this moral materialism fused and really has been driving America ever since.
There are, in a way, two strands to the early American founding. One is a strand embodied, say, in the Mayflower Compact, that we are here for the greater glory of God. The other is the strand that you find in the individual rights of the Declaration, encouraged by the commercial republic envisioned by Federalist 10 in the Constitution, for material well-being. And the spirit of religion and the spirit of liberty and enterprise live side by side, even though in pure form they would seem to be opposed to each other. I mean, the scripture says it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle, get through the eye of a needle, than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, what happens in America is religion manages to make its peace with acquisitiveness, makes its peace with it, providing it's done honestly. So Twain is, I think, going after that sort of compromise that religion, with its general suspicion of wealth, has made in America for honest dealings. Honest dealing is in a way where the spirit of religion and the spirit of enterprise merge. And the question is whether that's sufficient and whether it isn't precarious when push comes to shove, when temptation appears.
Yeah, if I wanted to defend the story, I'd say it's not an accurate sociological description of who we are, and I think it's led to a lot of pernicious snobbery. But it may be a corrective. One of the things that American does to religion is it makes religion very happy. It tends to create religions. Henry Steele Commager had a great sentence, and he had wrote a book called, I think, I'm not even quote the name, but he wrote a book. And one of the sentences was, in the 19th century, religion prospered while theology slowly went bankrupt, meaning that we don't really do doctrine very well. Our God is someone who's encouraging, personal, there's very little sin and Satan involved, there's very little evil involved. It's more of a friendly coach telling you to work hard and be a good person. And so we have a tendency therefore to deny our own sinfulness. And he could be reminding us of that, I suppose.
In fairness to the story, before this happens, we're led to believe they weren't all that terrible. They were, as I said before, they were neighborly. They did decent things. There were two churches in the town. There were public meetings. He exaggerates what happens as a result, and it's not exactly, it's perfectly clear that it has to, this couldn't have happened if Barclay Goodson hadn't died. And Barclay Goodson, the name itself suggests, unless God had died, the Son of God had died.